The WHO not confirming, but also not ruling out a coronavirus. Any more details from Chinese authorities?
Well, Chinese authorities were a bit more definitive compared to the WHO. It said that Chinese experts reportedly found a new coronavirus that traces back to the outbreak that we are seeing in Wuhan. And it said that the researchers on Tuesday, after analyzing samples collected from the cases, said that they had obtained the genetic sequencing of the virus from one of the patients and then verified that 15 patients tested positive for this specific virus. And the report also said that while it usually takes several weeks to identify this genetic sequencing in patients, it would take much longer, possibly even years, to come up with a vaccine for the virus and any sort of drugs or medication to cure the disease as well. And so state media is reporting that Chinese experts and researchers will continue to identify and try and identify the cause of the outbreak, and the research is set to continue. And if you're wondering, what exactly is the coronavirus? Well, it can cause respiratory and intestinal diseases, and of the 6 coronaviruses known, 4 are common and cause, more minor symptoms that are more similar to the common cold, but 2 of them, which we would be familiar with, are far more serious, and that is the severe acute respiratory syndrome, or SARS, as well as the Middle East respiratory syndrome, and that had caused hundreds of deaths during the outbreak, a few years back. Earlier on, the WHO, as you mentioned, was less definitive about this. It said that it needed more comprehensive information to confirm precisely the type of pathogen that was causing the infections in Wuhan. And although it did not rule out that a new coronavirus was a possibility, and also said that, the Chinese have ruled out SARS, MERS, the flu, as well as the bird flu as possibilities for this outbreak. And therefore, a new coronavirus cannot be ruled out. But certainly they are saying that more research needs to be done.
Olivia, more research needs to be done, both from the WHO and from the Chinese side. As you mentioned earlier, they're saying much more needs to be done before, and time needs to pass before we get any kind of vaccine or treatment for this. In the meantime, given what we do know, which is a possible linkage to a newly emerging member of the family of viruses, what can Chinese authorities do? Medical authorities, government authorities, what's next?
Well, certainly we will be sure that the efforts to continue research and looking into, finding out more about what exactly has caused this outbreak that we're seeing in Wuhan, that effort will certainly continue, because even though now Chinese authorities are pointing to a new coronavirus as the reason for this outbreak, there is still a lot that is unknown. The WHO has said that the virus behind the Wuhan cases can cause severe illnesses in some patients, but does not appear to cause, does not seem to be able to transmit easily between person to person at the moment. But more information is needed as well to, better understand the nature of the outbreak, as well as to determine the source of the outbreak as well, and how exactly it is being transmitted, the extent of the infection, as well as the countermeasures being implemented as well. And as we had mentioned earlier, the outbreak in Wuhan had begun last month, and on Sunday, authorities said that there had been 59 cases. Yesterday, authorities then updated to say 8 patients had been discharged after they stopped showing any symptoms of this pneumonia. No deaths have occurred, and 7 were said to be in severe condition, and some patients have been linked to a seafood market in Wuhan, which also is reported to be also selling, wild animals, and the market has since been closed. But this has sparked fears and comparisons with SARS, because it's believed that SARS had been transmitted from animals to humans. And in 2003, the handling of SARS here in China had come under question as the disease spread rapidly to other cities and other countries back in 2003 and had caused hundreds of deaths. And so there had been that comparison. But just looking on social media, on Chinese social media today, on the announcement of this new coronavirus by Chinese authorities, some netizens here in China are saying that it shows that China has progressed in terms of, being able to nail down the cause of this outbreak in Wuhan. And this has shown some progress. But certainly there is a lot that is still unknown at the moment.
Thanks very much indeed for all that. Our correspondent Olivia Siong in Beijing.